What level of employment maximizes profit? The optimal level of employment of a single input equates the price or wage paid for the input with the extra revenue generated when the firm employs an additional unit of the input. Here are 3 qualifications and comments. First, the analysis presumes that the firm purchases the input in a competitive market and that hiring and firing costs are minimal. Purchasing the input in a competitive market means that the wage paid for the input does not change as the firm employs more or less of the input. The presumptions together mean that the extra cost of hiring another unit of the resource equals the wage paid. The analysis also presumes that the firm sells its output in a competitive market. This means that the price the firm charges for its output does not change as the firm sells more or less output. The presumption means that the extra revenue generated when the firm employs an additional unit of the input is the product of the extra output the firm produces and the price the firm charges for its output. Third, textbooks often have technical terms for the extra output and extra revenue. Extra output is called marginal product. Extra revenue is called marginal revenue product. And the marginal revenue product in that setting would be marginal product times price. I'm going to stick with the simpler, more intuitive terms, extra output and extra revenue. Now, I said that profits maximized only when the wage equals the extra revenue. This implies that profit can be increased whenever wage does not equal extra revenue. Let's look at both possible cases. First, how can a firm increase profit when the wage is less than extra revenue? Profit increases as employment increases when the wage for the input is less than the extra revenue generated when the firm hires another unit of the input. Another video, we'll walk through an example showing exactly how this works. Profit decreases as employment decreases when the wage is less than the extra revenue. Now, how can a firm increase profit when the wage is greater than extra revenue? Profit increases as employment decreases when the wage for the input is greater than the extra revenue generated when the firm hires another unit of the input. Again, I'll have another video working through that, an example of this situation. Profit decreases as employment increases when the wage is greater than the extra revenue. Now, what happens to the extra revenue produced by another unit of the input as employment increases? The extra revenue produced when a firm employs an additional unit of an input eventually decreases because the average amount of other resources available for the input decreases. For example, 2 workers may be more than twice as productive as 1 because they can work together and specialize. However, as the firm employs more and more workers, each of them will have less access to equipment and floor space. As workers have less access to equipment and floor space, the extra output from each additional worker will eventually diminish. Since the extra worker is not able to access all of the other inputs it needs, it contributes a smaller increase in output than the previous worker. The decrease in extra output means that the gap between the extra revenue and extra cost that drives increases or decreases in employment tends to decrease as the firm makes profitable employment decisions. Remember, the extra revenue is extra output times price. As the firm increases output, as the firm increases the employment, because the extra revenue is greater than the extra cost, the extra revenue falls because the extra output is getting smaller and smaller. As the firm decreases employment because extra revenue is less than the extra cost, the extra revenue increases because the extra output tends to get higher and higher. This means that when we start making profitable decisions, we tend to move towards some position that's a maximum, and the reason to increase or decrease employment goes away. The analysis gives you some good advice about the best way to advance your career. It suggests that the best way to get a raise, promotion, or new job is to demonstrate to the decider that you generate extra revenue. You can do this by documenting how you increase output and revenue, documenting how teams to which you belong increase output and revenue, presenting documentation to the decider, and demonstrating to the decider that the extra revenue exceeds your extra cost.